Christina Clark of Glen Allen, Alaska, is a 12-year-old Blackfoot and Athabaskan Native American who loves playing basketball, soccer, kickball, and football. She wanted to join the wrestling team, but the coach at her school wouldn't let her wrestle boys. Christina thought that wasn't fair, and she let the coach know it. When she has strong feelings, she speaks her mind, and she has very strong feelings about junk food and soda pop. Several members of her family drink 4 to 5 cans of soda a day. Like many other Native Americans and Eskimos today, they've lost almost all their teeth. Christina has researched the subject and can tell you that during the 19th century, you could travel far and wide in Alaska and never meet an Eskimo with a single cavity in his or her teeth. Valdemar Stephenson, an explorer who traveled throughout Alaska in 1906, took 100 Eskimo skulls to New York City so that researchers could examine their teeth. All of the skulls were carefully inspected at the American Museum of Natural History, Stephenson wrote, but no sign of tooth decay has yet been discovered. The skulls belonged to Eskimos who had died before Americans visited Alaska. But Stephenson worried about the future of some Mackenzie River Eskimos he'd met. Toothache and tooth decay were appearing, the explorer noted, but only in the mouths of those who liked the new foods secured from the Yankee whalers. Today, many Eskimos are toothless, thanks largely to their new diet. It's not uncommon to meet Eskimos who drink half a dozen cans of pop every day. The sweet taste of the soda is only one part of its appeal. In remote rural areas, good drinking water is often hard to find. In villages without decent plumbing, people still have to get water from storage tanks or from melted snow, and that water often doesn't taste very good. At many stores, soda is cheaper than bottled water. Coca-Cola executives are well aware of the large demand for soda in Alaska. In recent years, Coke has thought up some imaginative ways of advertising to Eskimo children. In 2000, the Coca-Cola Company and a local bottler in Alaska decided to paint airplanes that regularly flew from the town of Bethel into dozens of Eskimo villages on Alaska's west coast. The planes were covered with enormous Coke and Sprite logos. They delivered mail, soda, and supplies to Kasugluk and other villages in the Yukon Delta National Wildlife Refuge. The Coke planes were a strange sight with their brightly painted soda ads flying over 22 million acres of wilderness. The year after Coke painted the planes, it paid Trajan Langdon, the first Alaskan player in the National Basketball Association and a hero to many Eskimo children, to fly into Yupik villages. Langdon arrived in Coke planes, visited children at schools, and gave out free T-shirts. Young people in the small villages and towns of the Alaska bush often don't have the same opportunities as their big city counterparts, Coca-Cola said in a press release announcing the visits. They seldom come into contact with anyone outside their small town. So when a group of people flies into the bush bearing gifts and an NBA star, it's quite the local event. Coke failed to mention that these Eskimo villages also don't have dentists. Edwin Alger, a dentist who moved from Ohio to Alaska in 1998, travels every so often to Kasugluk and other Yupik villages, providing dental care to the children. He remembers visiting a village store one day in a community of about 160 people. 40 of them were children. It was a Monday and the store had just received a stack of sodas 4 feet tall and 4 feet across. When he visited the store again on Friday, the sodas were almost gone. The owner of the store told him he had another shipment coming in a few days. Dr. Alger quickly did some math in his head. He calculated that to finish off so much soda in a week, every single person in the village would have to drink 3 to 5 cans a day. He figured that the owner of the village store earned about $20,000 a year from selling soda. It's no coincidence, Dr. Alger says, that many teenagers in the village have lost all of their permanent teeth before they're 16. Another problem that Dr. Alger finds in Yupik villages is called baby bottle syndrome. When mothers put soda or other sugary drinks in baby bottles, the children often fall asleep with the bottle in their mouth, creating a breeding ground for tooth decay. Baby bottle syndrome often causes the upper teeth to rot away into black nubs. Christina Clark was upset by the dental problems she saw at Glen Allen Elementary School. She says it made her angry to see little kids with their teeth all black drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola all the time. She didn't want kids to suffer from bad teeth the way members of her family did, but she didn't know what to do about it. In 2002, when Christina was a 5th grader, she started thinking about the soda machine down the hallway from the cafeteria in her school. It was supposed to be turned off during lunch periods, but nobody at the school bothered to do so. Kids bought Cokes from the machine all day long. While visiting a health clinic with her mother, Christina learned a lot about the harmful effects of drinking too much soda. That night, she went home and made a poster, including some of the facts she'd learned at the clinic. The next day, Christina went to school and taped the poster to the front of the Coke machine. Across the top of her poster, she wrote a simple message in bold letters: "Stop the pop." The poster stayed up for about 2 weeks. Then Christina walked past the machine one day and noticed that the poster was gone, tape and all. Nobody told her why. When she asked the principal at Glen Allen Elementary if the school would consider getting rid of the soda machine, the principal listened to her and then didn't do a thing. Don't blame us. The power that fast food companies and soda companies now wield inside schools has led many critics to believe that changing the law may be the only way to kick these companies out. In 2003, Mary Kapsner, a state representative from Bethel, felt uneasy whenever she saw the Coke planes take off from the local airport. Mary was 30 years old at the time and had been elected to office at the age of 24. Her mother was Yupik and her father was from Nebraska. She'd grown up loving traditional Eskimo foods and still kept dried salmon strips in her refrigerator as a snack. She wasn't happy about how good eating habits, practiced for centuries, were quickly slipping away. When she heard that many high schools in Alaska were inviting fast food chains into their cafeterias, she became even more worried that local Yupik foods might vanish forever. Mary's husband, Jonathan, was a bush pilot who had come to Alaska from Minnesota. They had 2 kids. Jonathan told her that he was hired to fly into Yupik villages carrying nothing but soda pop. Mary talked to people at the local hospital and dental clinic who described what soda was doing to the health of Eskimos. She decided to use her power as a state legislator to prevent schools from selling too much soda. The same companies that distributed Coca-Cola in Alaska also distributed alcohol, and she worried that kids who were now drinking 6 packs of soda every day would soon be drinking 6 packs of beer. Although these social problems were enormous, Mary decided to start with a small change. She pushed for a new state law that would forbid public schools to sell soda between 8 in the morning and 5 in the evening. Mary knew that some schools needed money from the machines to pay for uniforms and student travel. She promised that if her bill passed in the state legislature, she'd help to find other ways to give schools the money they needed. Her bill required that soda machines be turned off only during school hours. Coke and Pepsi could still be sold at sports events or after the school. Nevertheless, Mary's plan was swiftly opposed by the Grocery Manufacturers of America, the world's largest association of food and soda companies. The industry group sent a letter to leading members of the Alaska legislature arguing that it was on the wrong to single out soda as the main cause of tooth decay. Many factors contribute to the formation of dental cavities, the group wrote, including diet, the level of oral hygiene, and access to professional dental care. Despite the friendly tone, the underlying message of the letter was clear. Don't blame soda for bad teeth. Blame yourself. Mary didn't buy that argument. Professional dental care was hard to get in Eskimo villages because they were remote and few dentists wanted to live in them. Teaching children to brush their teeth was part of the solution, she felt. But the soda companies had a big responsibility, too. After all, they were flying Coke, Sprite, and Trajan Langdon into these villages, not toothpaste, toothbrushes, and world-famous dentists. Alaskan distributors of soda visited Mary's office in Juneau. They said her plan was a bad idea. Why are you singling us out, they asked. Their complaint made Mary wonder if she should go after the junk food and fast food companies, too. The legislature never passed her soda bill. In the meantime, some local dentists and health officials painted a dumpster in the center of Bethel, expressing their view on the matter. The power of one. At Glen Allen Elementary, Christina Clark recently sat as a student council meeting with her hand raised as high as it could go. She hadn't given up the fight against soda at her school. A new principal named Michael Johnson had been appointed, and she felt a little more hopeful. He used to be her 4th grade teacher, and he always took her opinion seriously. Christina was ready to tell the 5 other kids on the student council why the soda machine should be removed from the school. She'd done some more research and outlined a few talking points. At first, she thought that nobody was calling on her because they didn't like what she was going to say. When Christina finally got her turn to speak, she calmly listed the problems that drinking too much soda can cause. Once she finished, the student council voted. The choices were 1, to keep nothing but soda in the machine, 2, to replace half of the soda with fruit juice and bottled water, or 3, to get rid of the soda. Everyone voted to replace half the soda with fruit juice and bottled water. Except Christina, of course. She was terribly disappointed and thought that kids would keep buying the soda anyway. As Thanksgiving approached, the new principal thought long and hard about the arguments that Christina had made about soda, about the courage it took for someone so young to speak out, and how she defended her beliefs when other kids disagreed. Mr. Johnson was impressed. Not long afterward, Christina walked down the hallway and looked at the spot where her Stop the Pop sign had once been. The soda machine was gone.